How I talk with some of my peers that are my age, and we talk about what's traditional and what's not, and it's kind of interesting how we see something 50 years ago wasn't traditional 50 years before that, and then 50 years before that kind of the same thing, and we have different. I think creativity is part of the tradition. How can we be creative with what we have? Make use of what we have. But there's a balance, to understand, why we might use something versus why maybe we shouldn't use it, or should we use it. So those are good conversations that, different cultures and artists, individual artists or families have. But we're going to have Violet Duncan come out, and she's going to introduce herself. Violet's actually my sister-in-law, and she's originally from Canada, and she's probably better at introducing herself. Here you go, Violet.
Danse, nichtig asung kaya kisik isquel, ta puemio kisagaun the mito tak, ta puemio kisagaun nigamukti. Hello and good afternoon. I have a Cree name called Old Sky Woman. In my language, it's kisik isquel, or kayas kisik isquel. It means Old Sky Woman. And we get our names actually many times throughout our lives. We get our very first name when we're born, or when we do something significant when we're born, not necessarily on the day, because sometimes it's our grandmothers and our aunties and uncles that will actually name us. Another time that we can get our Cree names is during Sundance time, and it's when you become a woman, when you become a mother, a grandmother. So sometimes you can go through your entire life with one name like we do normally, or with 4 to 5 different names, and that kind of depends on which way you decide to go in life. So right now it's Kayas Gisik Isqueo, Old Sky Woman. We actually have all of our children. I have 3 children, and all of their Indian names were given to them at this time in their life. And I'm very proud of their Indian names they were given. My son was given Asani Awasis. It's actually the name of one of our oldest chiefs. And to be given to such a little person was such an honor. It means stone child. My daughter's is Eskutu Esquasis. She's my wildest daughter. Her name is Fire Woman. Suited her. My youngest daughter's is Esquasis Esqueu, and it means Thunderbird Woman. And it was a beautiful, clear day when we were given their names. And right when she went up, she was 9 months old, it started to thunder, and an eagle screeched out. And I thought, this is the things of movies. And I had no idea what her name would be, but it turned out to be Thunderbird Woman, which is a powerful name for such a little person. So I hope they keep their names, but who knows which way they will go. And this is actually how, when we are given our names, that's also how we choose the colors and the dances that we want to dance. And sometimes, like Fire Woman, her colors are actually red, and it was red before she was given that name, and it will be continued to be red now, and we use the fire colors. My daughter's Thunderbird Woman, we actually have a lot more blues and purples in her outfit. And that's actually how I chose to be given my colors that I chose when I was younger. My mom made me the English name of Violet. And of course, all of my favorite colors of my outfit were violet and purple and lavender. And that's the purpose of a lot of our outfits that we make. You want colors that make you feel good and make you want to dance. And I've always danced the woman's fancy shawl style of dancing. And that's the outfit that I'm wearing here today. I started to choose the colors of more blue because my last set of beadwork was pink and purple. That's when I was 13 through 19. And I figured after getting married and having children, I should have something more serious. So blue seemed to work. And of course, I had to keep some of the pinks because my daughter loves it. Now, on top of my head, I'm wearing an eagle plume. We're given eagle feathers and eagle plumes at different parts of our lives. Sometimes when it's you graduate high school or graduate college, also when you become a parent or a grandmother, you're given gifts of the eagle feathers at different times when you do something significant for your community. And back in the day, you could only be given an eagle feather when you're helping your community. Like you could bring back a deer or a moose, and you would give it all away without being selfish at all, and seeing everybody in the community is fed and taken care of. And somebody might recognize you and would give you an eagle feather. Or sometimes it would just simply be sharing a story, and that story might have helped somebody in their life. I was given my eagle plumes by my mother, and it actually happened throughout my life. So there's about 6 or 7 eagle plumes on top of my head. And they were given to me at different times when I became teen girls fancy. And that was a big moment for me because that's when I started to take power dancing very seriously. And powwows are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I made sure homework was done and I was all ready to go Friday, and I didn't complain Monday morning when it was time for school. And she thought that was very good, so I was given some of my eagle feathers then. So when you're younger, you're usually gifted with the eagle plumes, which are from the babies, the baby eagles. Now, we never kill or take down an eagle when we receive their eagle feathers. If an eagle will fall ill and die close to a community, that community, they'll have an elder, and they'll go to that elder, the wildlife preserve will go to that elder, and that elder will see fit who receives the eagle feathers. And so they're distributed evenly throughout the community. So this is how that happened, how my mom was able to get the plumes and how she was able to pass them down. Now next we have all of my beadwork. I'm actually wearing a lot of quill work. Now you might not have noticed, but beads actually came over after European contact. And before that, we would use quill work. We would dye it in many different colors that suited us, and we would press them down, and there's a real technique to quill work, and I use the traditional style of quill work. In my area, northern Alberta, we also use moose hair tufting, and you would use the small strands of moose hair, and you would tuft them under so the hair is like that, and you would sew them down just like how you do quill work. And then because they were so short, it'd actually be raised and it would feel really nice. And a lot of the times we would use floral work in our beadwork, in our quill work, and in our moose hair tufting. So I don't have any moose hair tufting because that actually takes a very, very long time. So I have the quill work, and then I also have my beadwork, and beadwork is quite well known in Indian country. Inside the beadwork, I have quill work inlaid in the florals. So you'll see that it's very rare that you'll see the beadwork inlaid with the quill work, and my entire outfit that I'm wearing was actually a gift from my husband. And I didn't know what to do when I received the work because there was so much craftsman and skill going into it. I was afraid to put it away, and how do I take care of it? So I had all this tissue paper overlapping the beadwork, overlapping the quill work. And of course, I talked to different people on how to preserve it because it's such beautiful work. And when you do fine work yourself, you know how long it takes. So that's actually how I take care of it. I have some tissue paper that I take care of and put it over. We have mirrors, or I have mirrors in my outfit. Now, sometimes we put mirrors even at the top of our doors, and it's a protection measure. Now, if you're thinking really good thoughts, hopefully the mirror will reflect that, and you'll feel that good energy. On the other side, if you're not having a good day, then you'll feel that too, and then it doesn't affect the dancer. And you'll feel that. You'll feel if you're feeling good and you find somebody else that's feeling really good, then everybody's feeling great. But as soon as you're with somebody who's feeling down, it's very easy to absorb that energy. And a lot of times when we're doing our traditional dancing, we're dancing for someone else. We dance for someone who cannot dance anymore, or for our children, for our elders. So we need to keep as much positive energy that we have, and instead of absorbing any negative energy, and that's actually why we use the mirrors. I have my beaded vest, and then I have all of these dentillion shells. And we live in Plains area, northern Alberta. There's no shells around that are dentillion, and they wonder, how did you get shells? Well, just like we would today, we would travel, and it would just take, a week rather than 2 days of driving. And of course, we would travel and we would trade all the different shells that are people to the west of us, the West Coast people, and we would trade with the dentillion shells for maybe some of our moose hair tufting or some of our quill work. And we show that by wearing the dentillion shells. I have my concho belt that we wear here. My dress is made of satin. It's called the Woman's Fancy Shawl Dance, and we're the only style that's allowed to use upgraded materials when we go traditional. And that's because the Woman's Fancy Shawl Dance is one of our newest styles. It's only 200 years old. Many of our dances and songs and stories are thousands of years old, where this dance is very, very new. So we're allowed to use mirrors and what are these called again, rhinestones, and be creative with all the different colors. And we can use bright yellow and purple and pink on the shawls. So we're allowed to use that because we dance Woman's Fancy Shawl. And I also have on my feet my leggings and my moccasins, which are beaded and quilled as well as my cape. I'll show you my shawl, or can you get my shawl? The Woman's Fancy Shawl Dance is a dance that imitates the butterfly. The story goes that there was a woman who wanted to dance the men's fancy dance. And the men's fancy dance is a wild and exciting dance to dance. And the women didn't have a dance like this. They were more traditional and sedentary and close to our Mother Earth. Well, one day the woman dressed up. She put on a men's outfit. She started to dance with the men. You're not allowed to do that. So the elders said, you can have your own dance, the women's fancy dance. So she made her own outfit, and she had her shawl that was originally on her arm, and she put it across her back. And when she danced, she kept with the high footsteps of the men's fancy dance. And when she would jump high and spin and twirl, all the other women became interested, and they too started to make their own women's fancy dance. And when they would dance in the arena, the elders said that they looked like butterflies fluttering from flower to flower. So we began to mimic the works of the butterfly wings. And this is all the work we have here. That's all intricate applique and just overlapping with the thread work. I'd like to demonstrate for you, before we go into any questions and answers, demonstrating two what do they call it? Push-ups of a song to demonstrate my style of dancing, which is the women's fancy.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Violet? Yes.
No, we would use leather. So a lot of the times deer moose is the best, but deer is a lot softer. Rabbit for moccasins. So mostly just sewing together leather.
Any questions?
You're actually, it's another thing to get, like eagle feathers. I failed to mention that otters are actually something that you get that are significant with your life. So a lot of times the otters will represent when you become a mother or even graduating college. It's a little bit older when you would receive your otters. So it's another kind of prestigious. These ones? I have, where do we get them? Well, now it's amazing, the World Wide Web, so all over. Yeah, traditionally, well, European contact, we started off with the pony beads, and just over time, they got smaller and smaller. And now we have, the 23 cut, and then even the 20 in the Charlotte, in the Charlotte cut. Traditionally, they would be stitched on with sinew, which is attached to the muscle of an animal, and you just kind of dry it out, and you would use the sinew. To make this one, let's see, well, for every 3 rows, that's 1 quill. So a whole porcupine would probably go for everything that's on here, including this here, so. Yeah, I took down a whole porcupine. But yeah. Yeah, that's the best part. Yeah, that's a really good question. Is the design traditional? Now, a lot of times if you go up to my area, which is even in Montana, some of the Blackfoot, and then up until Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Canada is where you'll find the Cree, and we use floral work. So even the men will have florals on their moccasins. So that's how you'll be able to tell. And we actually use the rounded flowers. So these ones are really fancy. It still represents the floral beadwork that we would use, but it's actually a lot more simpler. It's a circle with 5 circles around it. And that would how you would be able to identify Cree floral beadwork. Yes. It was traded with the Europeans. Yeah, definitely. But I can't exactly say when we started to use the metal needles, because I know it was during the Wild West shows, which was in the early 1800s, as when the designing using more beadwork. Actually bringing our designs that were originally etched and painted into the beadwork style. That would be the early 1800s. And then that's where you'll actually find in museums, a lot of the beadwork is in the early 1800s. That's because we started to use the smaller ones that could mimic the designs that we had used traditionally. Oh, the conchos? These were also traded from the south. So you would find these, and mine's a wider belt because we can be more fancy with the women's fancy shawl dance. But yeah, it's just that they were already beaded conchos from the south here. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Violet. We're gonna have my sister come out, Christy Lopez, and we have my only sister, Christy, favorite sister. And she's going to introduce herself and the different things that she's wearing.
Good afternoon, and just like Carl said, my name is Christy Lopez, and I am 32 years old, and I'm the only sister. I have 7 brothers. Actually, I'm like the oldest because my older brother, I take him as a little brother. I'm bossy, and I don't have everything with me today. I apologize. I had a ceremony, a coming of age ceremony for my daughter just yesterday. She's 12, and she just became a woman. So I'm married to a Pima Indian. He lives on the Salt River Reservation. That's where we live now. And so we had a Pima coming of age ceremony yesterday. So we'd take our children into all the tribes that they are. Right now I'm representing my father's tribe, Apache, and my dad's from San Carlos. So today I'm wearing a contemporary camp dress. This is what the women would wear around the camps when they're making bread, tending to children, just various everyday things that women do. We would wear a camp dress, but this is contemporary because it has the satin and the sequins. And this is a dress actually made by my younger brother, Kevin. Kevin does all of our outfits, our regalia that we wear, we keep it in the family. I do beadwork along with my sister-in-law. We both do beadwork. And Kevin he does the designs for us. So Kevin made this for my mother's dress. The sequins, the shiny white represents water, the reflection, and the squares represent the sunset, and they're pointed out. When they're pointing out, it brings you good luck, and it shines out from you. And the reflection, like I said, represents the water. And hummingbirds are really sacred birds to Apaches. they're messengers. If you see hummingbirds, it's going to be a good day. And my daughter, she got a hummingbird feeder yesterday as one of her gifts for her ceremony. So that was a really good thing because it's rare to have hummingbirds out in the desert. Or in Salt River, you usually see a lot of hawks, and there's competition with the littler birds out there. But these are Apache moccasins. They go all the way up to, if I pull them all the way up, they would go up to my thigh. But you can pull them down if you're just every day. But if you're going out into the desert with cactus, you're going to want to protect your skin. And especially Apaches, they were very, very tough, very active. And so they needed to have the extra protection. And that's why the leather goes all the way up here. And also there's a little circle on the tip of my moccasin, and that was to protect against the big cactus out there. And that part is made out of rawhide. So the bottom is hard, and the top is really soft, made out of also the softer part of the cow. So this is a dress made by Kevin, and it is contemporary. In the beginning, the camp dresses were made out of the flour, the big bags of flour that the settlers would have. So they didn't have any designs. It was just maybe calico or just plain white. And they copied the women. That's why they have loose and just very simple. The beadwork, everything came later. And now, mainly for pageants, they do more satiny and shiny, but just for today, I'm wearing my mother's dress because it's been a rough time planning a ceremony for my daughter and dealing with the new little teen. So yeah, so this is what I'm wearing today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna come back out with a puberty dress that I wore when I was exactly her age, when I was 12. So, oh, these earrings, okay. My mother is from North Dakota, and she is Arikara, Hidatsa, and Mandan. And I don't know if anybody has heard of those tribes. Okay, so they had dentillion shells in the northern plains. Those are very more valuable than beads. And now they're coming back into powwows. It's really hard to get dentillion shells. You have to clean them out with a needle, take out the rocks, whatever's in there. But I just adore dentillion shells, and I do jingle dress as well as my sister-in-law. So I made these earrings, and they're all cut little shells that have been cleaned out and hand sewn into a circle. And I have the sunset design, and this matches my my jingle dress. So this is to represent my mother's side. So instead of having beadwork, I've chosen dentillion shells. So this is represent my mother, and this is my father. So thank you.